Hello, my dear listener. Welcome back to Redoctoring with your host, Dr. Diane. This is the podcast that allows you to be a different kind of doctor. Today, I have with us a very special guest. I have with us Dr. Samuel. He is currently doing his community service, and he has also started dabbling with the idea of thinking about his career differently. So I want him to share with us a bit more about it and his history around it. This conversation is definitely going to inspire you and give you a few nuggets of wisdom to carry with you. Samuel, how are you doing?
I am doing great, Diane. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for agreeing to this. I know the people won't know, but this is our second recording due to technical issues. So thank you so much.
It's an honor to do this again with you, hey? For the vibe,
For the vibes, for the
for the
vibes.
vibe.
That's what the kids be saying. That's what the kids be saying.
I am a kid. I feel like I'm a kid with like a lot of responsibility, Like if I had a child now, it would be teenage pregnancy. Like it would feel that way. That's the,
Yes.
hey? I'm prepared for this, but I'm doing my best. It's what we can do.
Valid, valid. They actually say your 20s are the new teenagers, and then your 30s are actually your new 20s. So we're still young. We're still figuring things out. It's okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're a doctor. Tell us, how did that happen?
Yeah. I always say I was gaslit into medicine because I had like a role model who was a doctor and he looked so cool and so happy. And I was like, oh, I want to be like him. And well, he inspired me and I'm here.
Mm.
That's a joke about gaslighting. Like I was really genuinely inspired by him. I was quite a sick kid and he always explained my conditions to me and would high five me and would reassure me. And it's just great to see someone so useful and so needed by those around them and to be so happy while doing it. So was great. The kid, as a 14-year-old child, I saw that. I'm like, Captain Cool. We even called him Captain Cool, not Doctor Cool, but he was such a cool guy. Yeah.
Are you
And
still in
here I
connection
am.
with him?
Crazy enough, I know where he works and everything, but I haven't seen him since I was like 16. But I probably will one day. I'll be like, hey, so I am no longer in medicine, but I was a doctor, hey? And thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for taking care of me. And yeah.
Yo, no, no, no. I think there's something just so special about being a child and already setting your mind on something, you know? Because sometimes it can be quite prophetic. I had another guest who I recorded the episode, but it's still to come. I don't know if it will come before or after this one. She was also a child when she was a patient, and then she was like, listen, I like this doctor. That's what I want to do. So I
Yeah.
think it can sometimes prove to be quite prophetic as a child when you're like, you see something inspiring and you're like, that is what I'm going to do.
No, children are amazing. Like they are like all the fears and worries we have as adults, kids don't have. I remember having no fear whatsoever as a child. And so you see someone who's a doctor, you see an astronaut, you see like a fireman, you're like, I can do that. Like there's no like concept of, hey, this is a difficult role. And yeah, I think God exposes you to certain things and allows you to see them because like there's he plants a seed inside and that seed takes,
Mm.
fruit and combining that with your childlike, naivety and childlike just desire and wonder, like it really just pushes you where you need to be. And yeah, here we are.
Definitely. It's so beautiful. It really is. So you had the experience of being a patient before you were a doctor.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
I mean, we can. So I have sickle cell anemia, which is like a genetic disorder from West Africa, well, from quite a few places though, but it's mostly from West Africa, similar to thalassemia. Basically, it's called sickle cell anemia. Your red blood cells are circular, and under stress, they become kind of sickle shaped, like the communism, communism sign, And
Wow.
they can cause like ischemia being reduced blood flow to certain parts of your body, and then they cause like intense pain. And to this day, the only pain that's worse than that is like an earache. If you have like an earache that's like here, 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 That's the only
Mm,
pain that's worse than that. Like, I've been, never mind. I'm just like, it's really painful, and that's all. But yeah, I struggled a lot, had quite a few, what they call a flare up, not a crisis, but a flare up. And there was a time I was blind for like a whole day and a half. My parents had to bath me for a week because I couldn't move and couldn't walk. I lost so much weight. I've been sick like over and over and over. And so, yeah, that was like one of my childhood, about my grade 10 to about all throughout mid school. Even during internship, I was hospitalized like 6 times across those 2 years. It's quite a serious health thing. I'm really positive about it. So that's that. And growing up as a child, you don't really know what's going on. You're just always in hospital. And I mean that Dr. Cool, Captain Cool always explaining stuff was really cool.
mm.
So yeah,
Do you feel like your experience as a patient has shaped how you give care now as a doctor?
definitely. I'm very informative. So as a doctor, I tell patients, hey, this is why we're doing this. When I read blood results, I say, okay, we've checked I go through the sodium, potassium, urea, creatinine, and I say these basically check your kidneys, and your kidneys filter out the electrolytes, basically the minerals in your blood and whatever. Like, I explain this to them, and obviously you can gauge your patient's, level of comprehension while you're speaking. And then those who are more curious, I'll explain even further. Say, why are we doing diabetes checks? Why are we not doing diabetes checks? Why one person says, hey, there's a special test I was told about. Why aren't I doing it? I'm like, your HGT is like 6.8, so you don't need it right now. But someone you understand? So I explain stuff like that. It makes it
Mm,
easier. Yesterday I had a patient who was on Xarelto, was on warfarin, but got moved to Xarelto and was still doing INR testing for 2 years. And I'm like, you don't do INR testing with Xarelto. And I had to explain that, you know, you check the INR because warfarin, has the vitamin K antagonism. And so basically I explained like the whole, hey, you're on Xarelto now, no need for you to do INR testing. And she was grateful because she's had 2 years of tricking, for no reason, hey? And it's always no.
mm,
I'm like, yeah, but it's not because you aren't on warfarin. But yeah, just it helps a lot. Patients really do appreciate knowing what's going on. They take their health care more seriously when they know what's going on. They trust you more. Like, they're more appreciative. When they see you in the hallways, they're like, hey doc, like they remember you because you took the time to really explain things to them. Um, Even bad news. I had a patient who was prostate cancer, that's spreading everywhere else. And I'm saying, you're going to go to SOPD, so surgical outpatients department, medical outpatients department, orthopedic outpatients department, and a CT scan. And I know this is very scary and very daunting, but it's just so that everyone can see you and make sure that the cancer hasn't spread to those different parts. And you explain to them very nicely, like that you're doing the best you can and that they need to be positive in this. So yeah, anyway, can go on and on and on about the benefits of speaking to patients, but they really do they do appreciate it. I did.
mm. No, definitely. You are being the Dr. Cool that you had to many
Yeah,
others.
yeah,
And it's necessary. I think when I think about how hectic, for example, our clinics are, our OPDs are, how we are so focused on pushing the queue. But so many times patients feel like, no, because there's so many patients to be seen. Okay, no, let me not, take up too much time, or let me not take up too much space. But at the end of the day, this is your health. This is your life.
yeah,
So I wish that there wasn't so much pressure to push the queue, but I understand the resources and everything around that. Because, an educated patient is a patient who's able to be more proactive, who's able to, you know, take their health more seriously because when they know things that are happening. So it's
yeah,
good that you
definitely.
that you have that um conviction. Conviction. Hmm. So has medicine always been the one thing that you wanted to pursue when you were in high school?
Crazy enough, I chose medicine in grade 11 when we were applying for our varsity. Like, we were, you use your grade 11 marks to apply for a varsity. That's when I decided, because I was like, I don't like law, don't like accounting, don't like engineering. Like, I wasn't very like well educated on the avenues out there. I had like six
Mm.
options, I didn't know about the smaller stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. I have medical background experience from like my own experience as a person. Plus, Captain Cool is really cool. So let's do this. But it was more of like a exclusion criteria, and it worked out. But I wasn't that kid who wanted to be a doctor from a child. I wanted to be a mathematician because I was good at math. I was getting trophies or whatnot. I'm like, I'm going
Mm.
to become a mathematician. And and so yeah, now I'm not.
Okay, so you enjoyed math, and then you saw Dr. Cool, and then Dr. Cool changed your life around.
Yeah,
Um, for varsity, which varsity did you go to?
I went to Pretoria, UP.
Okay. How was that experience?
That was good. Hey, like I'm very easygoing. I love life, so like nothing really bothers me that much. So I'm just like I was in to study. I thank God I'm a doctor afterwards. It was a nice 6 years, difficult 6 years, but it was like my life, if that makes sense. Like it was a fundamental
Mm,
part of me becoming who I was. And so I really appreciate, the opportunity to have studied there. And yeah, it was quite cool.
definitely. Do you feel like med school do you feel like it was pressurized, or like what was your general vibe about it?
But yeah, so initially, um, I came first in my school. Like I matriculated top 10 with everything. Like I was like, okay, cool, I'm pretty smart. And then you go to varsity and then you see people who are getting like 95% for physics, 97% for like life science and stuff. And you're like, wow, like no one in my school got that. I went to a public school and we just didn't have that level of like performance at all. And so there was initially this like inferiority thing which made me like, kind of overcompensate by, like I'm smart as well, trying to, say, hey, I deserve to be in medicine. Because you see all the people of non-color, to say, just to put it nicely, who got higher averages than you, who aren't in medicine, who are doing BSc trying to enter medicine. And like there was an element of like, I don't belong here, that imposter syndrome that, hey, I'm only here because of the color of my skin. Despite me being first and having like a really good average, I still felt that way. But then over
Mm,
time, kind of made friends, kind of got into the gist of medicine. Medicine then like forced me to study for the first time. Like I was very, very smart. So I just never put that much effort. The common story you hear with people. And I got through first year and second year, and third year of medicine, kind of just like, putting in a bit of effort here. But then fourth year, like I had to have an identity change. Like and I kept saying that you can get to fourth year, like first, second, and third year, but either being really hardworking or being really smart. But you need both for fourth year, like when the clinical year starts. And so I really became a hard worker in fourth year. And I think that's when I started feeling it's weird. I felt more pressure when I was less like when I wasn't studying, because obviously you don't overwork, you're just a bit confused. But when I was studying, the pressure was less because I knew what was going on. And then I'm like, okay, cool, let's do this. But I was also like, I'm not going to do this forever. But like, I really like, knowing stuff. And so I just got my flow and whatnot, got better and better and better. And yeah, that school was nice and made friends. I think who you surround yourself with is really important. I had nerds around me. It's quite important. Um, and so they took studying seriously and we were talking a lot about like tests and talk about like the content. And that helped a lot. And then I had friends who would de-stress, like really de-stress. And like it was just really great to have both like let's study hard and let's chill and relax. And so I was pretty balanced in that regard.
you had an abundance. You had the people that got the work going, and
Exactly.
then the people that
Yeah,
got the relaxing going.
exactly.
Mm. You mentioned I think it was in your fourth year when you started feeling like this is not what you want to do forever. What was
Oh,
happening
yeah.
there?
Yeah, nah. I human suffering is just something that I've made peace with it now. But in fourth year, being too much pain was just like new to me. Um, and funny enough, what I saw in fourth year compared to what I see now on a daily basis, like doesn't even compare. I see so much worse stuff now. But in fourth year, I'm like, I don't like seeing within neurology, for example. So you saw these proud Zulu men, who were like providers in their family, who were like now depending on nurses younger than them, like 20 younger than them. And you could feel like they were unhappy with the situation to not be able to move anymore, whether it's like a a back injury, and now that they have like a compression of the spinal cord or whatever, like this, they had issues, okay? And it was just depressing to go there day after day after day after day after day. And I'm like, okay, I don't like seeing the suffering. Then internal medicine as well, all the TB and HIV and whatnot. Like it's just was a bit too much. And so it was around that time I'm like, okay, Sam, you want to help people, you want to make money, you want to make an impact on the world, but there are other ways to do so. So there was that. Then there was also the fact that I was still very sick, still going to hospitals. Oh man, my whole story is crazy. But I was still like having pulses done on myself, being admitted or whatever while doing medicine. And I'm like, I had to do C-sections as well, all this physical labor. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I can push myself to do it though. But there's a way I can make money and help people that doesn't require so much physical strength from me. And I'm a pretty strong guy. Like, I'm going to flex now. Let me not flex on camera. But I like, I am pretty strong. But there's like a level where you realize it's not about like physical strength, it's about more of endurance and stamina. Like how much, you know, oxygen can your body carry? My hemoglobin level is 8.6. Like I don't have the same stamina. So those started creeping into my mind around that time. So both the suffering and then am I fit for medicine and whatnot. And I think I am built for medicine, but I could be built for something that's a bit more different as well. So yeah.
Wow. No, I hear the turmoil, I hear the struggle, I hear
Um,
the the complexity of it. But why to leave and not to maybe choose a specialty that's more gentle? If I were to
yeah.
play devil's advocate, that's how I would like, yeah.
Mhm. So that was definitely a thought as well. And when I started, not when you're a child, but when you're younger, you don't really know what you're good at, okay? Because you don't really do stuff. But when you do stuff, like you get feedback from the world on what you're good at. And I realized that there's so many things I'm good at outside of medicine that I can use my medical experience to make me better at. And so when I think about my future, like let's say I'm 40 years old and I'm happy and whatnot, the ideal Sam isn't in medicine or isn't in clinical medicine. Okay. Even if he's doing anesthesia, which is actually isn't as chill as people think. But like, let's say I'm doing ophthalmology, or I'm doing dermatology, or I'm doing psychiatry. Like, I still wouldn't be like, hey, that's an ideal Sam. No, that's perfect Sam. I can't conceive that. And so I know my pivot needs to be away from that clinical aspect. And I have many other interests, many other stuff that I'm good at that I really want to, invest so much time into. My most chill rotations, I spend all my time researching other stuff, like doing finances, learning about stocks, learning about entrepreneurship and investments and whatnot. Like a lot of time was just spent on non-medical stuff. I'm just kind of drawn towards it. And I mentioned this in my last talk about how medicine has really just shaped each and every one of us into like workaholics to a degree, in that, you know, you know what needs to be done. Like let's say you have like 15 trips to put up, and 4 catheters, you can't be like, you know what, this is too much work. I'm done. I'm going home. I'll do this tomorrow morning. Like it's just like, hey, this has to be done before you go home. And it's that level of you're able to push yourself at work. You can apply that at home. So I was literally working after work. Like it just, yeah, I don't know. I'm just very pulled to non-medical stuff. Um, a bit more than I'm pulled to medical stuff. Yeah.
When you mentioned how medicine can make you work, I that actually struck something in me because I've realized now that I've pivoted away from clinical and I'm in corporate, there's a work ethic that medicine gives you. Like you can go like a horse. Like you can just go and you can go, but like when you're in a setting that allows you not to go that much, that's when you realize, yo, I know how to go. And I
Mm,
think it's also one of the other good things um, that medicine gives that we don't think about in the moment because we're either too tired or too overworked. But that's definitely true. So now in ComServe and an internship, was this still a recurring theme? Like you still felt like you still had experiences where you're like, you know what, this is solidifying my decision that I want to eventually leave?
Yeah, definitely. Since fourth year, I haven't wavered on like, hey, I'm going to stay here. I've had, hey, I can stay here for longer. I can be an MO in this and whatnot. But there hasn't been this whole, okay, you know what? Let me do anesthesia lifelong. Like that has never, you know, been a thought that's been in my mind permanently. Like, and whether it's the pool of God, whether it's me trying to, branch out into more stuff, whether it's me trying to avoid pain, I don't know what it is, but something's pulling me forward. And you mentioned this earlier about how medicine, yeah, trained us to work hard. I see my time in medicine as military training in that if I compare who I was when I was in first year to who I am now, I'm completely different. My brother reportedly, not reportedly, repeatedly mentions that like I'm a different person because I was lazy, entitled, not to hate on younger me, but like I'm a child, but like, yeah, it's just lazy. You think that everything should come to you easily. You don't want to work hard. Very insecure, very subconscious, like just a lot of stuff. Um, you don't think about other people. Like you're a child, you think about you. And then medicine has fourth altruism where you need to, yes, we get paid for this, but the levels of care we provide, which are like detrimental to ourselves, to a degree. Um, the amount of people who have sutured, who have spat on me, who have like tried to stab or whatever. I'm just like, hey, bro, relax, okay? I'm just trying to help you. Um, or like you wake up at midnight to, give some lady a medication or whatever at a specific time. Or you do multiple operations, 6 operations throughout the entire day, with like 15-minute breaks or 10-minute breaks in between. Then you wash your hand or whatever. You hold in your key, you don't eat for like the entire call because you're busy. Like these things are you know, normal in medicine. Like this is what I'm saying is not like, oh wow, this is so bad. This is yeah, this is normal for us. But people are like, hey, where's your lunch? I'm like, we don't have lunch. We're trying to leave at 4 o'clock. If we take lunch, we'll leave at 5. Like all of us are pushing. And so there's this level of like you think about the team, you think about the patients, you think about, like everyone, and yourself comes last. And this stuff comes last for like a reason, not because like, hey, I hate myself, but because there's so much work to be done. And I don't think doctors are masochists. I don't think we enjoy pain. Like it's just there's too much to do, and we put others above us. And that's why they call it like a. You have to have a calling for it. It's why they say, hey, medicine is like selfless. But yeah, that's been amazing. And then the way it teaches you to think, to be analytical, to see situations, to see patterns, to kind of have like this detective part, really important. The way it teaches you how to communicate with patients, people with different backgrounds, whether they are white, black, Indian, whether they don't even speak your language, whether they're foreigners, whether they're indigenous, like you understand, like just different people. Um, Different personalities, different temperaments, and you learn to like negotiate and navigate all of this, which is a skill which most people our age don't have. Like, Dan, your ability to talk to people is like above average because of what you've been through. Same with mine. Um, the confidence, imposter syndrome is a real thing everyone struggles with, but over time you kind of, embrace it. Hey, I might always feel like an imposter though, but you're able to move in spite of it. It doesn't stop you. There are times I've read up how to do a procedure before doing the procedure. And you do it and you're like, thank God, Like that's a real thing. Yeah. And we should have supervision. We really should, but sometimes you don't have supervision and you have to manage things, by yourself, a level of independence. We had a recess where there were only 2 of us on call, and my registrar was in theater, okay, and now there was a recess, and the sisters called me. Now I am in second year, and sorry, I'm in first year, end of first year, and they're looking to me like, hey, Sam, please, I want you to coordinate this recess, okay? I've been in recesses before, and I'm the guy usually doing the compressions. And now you sit back, you think about, okay, we need a timer, we need someone to do compressions, we need someone to run blood gases. Like you're thinking, and like it just matured me. Like I matured in those 1 minute, just like this, because there's no one else that can help you. You rise to the occasion. And I think people don't have to experience that, but we did. And it's made us into who we are. And that's something that people can't take away from us. And that gives us an unfair advantage in anything we do. And so I see, once again, medicine as a training ground. And it was the most fertile thought I could have ever thought of because I could not have done this by myself. I could not have done this in a different degree. And so I am proud of medicine. I love medicine, but I still, once again, have this pool of, you know, there is something, there on the other side. If I change my mind, I'm going to come back, okay? Unlikely that I'll come back. Very unlikely though, but that's yeah, spoke a lot, but that's my take on this. Is medicine was just chef's kiss. It was amazing. It was great.
This is so interesting. Usually when people are thinking about leaving a career, there's a lot of there's a lot more push factors than pull, you know? There's a lot
Um,
more in the career or in the system that they're in that's pushing them out. But it sounds like with you, there's a pull from your interests and everything else that you like, but also a lifestyle pull that's pulling you elsewhere.
yeah.
An interesting dynamic.
Yeah. No, I'm just genuinely grateful. That's it. And like my favorite part of medicine is working with doctors. Okay. That's truthfully, like I'm working with my role models. Like that's the coolest thing ever. Um, Patients are awesome. I love it. I love helping people. But to be honest, it's seeing doctors, talking to them, being like, you guys are so smart. Like you guys study, you guys are so competent. Um, and I'm competent too. I don't see how cool I am, because I'm myself. I think people don't see how great they are, but I can see how cool other people are, and I'm like, yeah, you know, even nurses, I love the staff. Like that's my thing. I love everyone working together towards a common goal. I love how a patient comes in with this condition. They are seen by triage. They are seen by doctors and casualties. They are given like the meds they need right now. They refer to a specialty and we speak to other specialties. Anesthesia comes to see them. That's the operation. You have different companies who are given sets and whatnot to help the operation take place. And this patient doesn't even know that all of this is happening behind the scenes. They just say, hey, I came here, had an operation, and I left. But like there are like hundreds of systems working together to help you get better. I love that, that it's a well-oiled machine. Like that's my love in medicine. And so that same love can be applied to so many other things, Like it doesn't need to be the hospital setting. It's just I see it. That's why I love it so much. But I can see that interest is just like being sparked up.
Let me play devil's advocate again,
Okay.
because another common rhetoric when one is thinking of leaving, or even us because we are so young, is the whole narrative of you've spent so long, like we've been here for almost 10 years in this, from the time you
Um,
got accepted until the end of ComServe, it's about 9-ish, 10 years, give or take. How do you let that go? Like, how do you condense that thought to the fact that, listen, I've been in this for 9 years and now I'm leaving? Like, do you feel any guilt with that? I think people feel like we're not allowed to change our minds and whatnot. So how do you reconcile these thoughts in your mind?
yeah. So I don't see it as leaving or wasting. I see it as pivoting, simply put. Um, it's like rock climbing in that you think, hey, I'm going down this path, and you realize, oh wow, there's an easier ledge here, and you just go from that side. You pivot, and like I said earlier, medicine has made me who I am. All the registrars and specialists who support me, who poured info into me, has made me into who I am. Like I didn't know anything. Everything you know was taught to you, or like taught to you either through a book, or through a lecture, or through someone. And so I can just appreciate that. I don't feel like I am losing anything. I don't feel like I'm wasting time or whatever. It is and was a difficult decision in that, like, I'm like, really, Sam, are you really just going to, this is all you know. Like, this is literally all you know. But like, I didn't know it initially. I can always learn new stuff. And to anybody who is on the fence, I do want to say that I am very like optimistic as a person. And so I know there's a level of uninformed optimism of like, delusional, hey, everything will be okay. I am okay. I'm willing to suffer. I'm willing to be broke. I mean, I have money saved. I've like been very like proactive. Like since fourth year, like I've saved throughout my internship year and comp year because I know, hey, I'm going to enjoy my unemployment. This is going to be time for me to grind and to work on my other skills in those, like 3 to 6 months where I'm not working. Like I'm prepared for it. And so it's more about planning the life you want. And yeah, man, you're on a train going to Cape Town and you want to get off at, I don't know, Bloemfontein, or like you don't say, nah, this train carried me, so far, and I have to stay loyal to it. I have to go to Cape Town. Your destination's Bloemfontein. It's Free State. You get off, you say thank you, and you make sure that everything they taught you, you take forward. All the experiences you have, you take forward. Not that I'm gonna like neglect and be like, hey, deuces, I hated all of y'all. No, like, I genuinely love medicine, and so everything has been like condensed into my hundreds of notebooks where I've written down my experiences and thoughts and ideas and whatnot. And so, yeah, man, I'm just excited. Like, I am genuinely excited. Not even scared. I'm just like excited, anticipating the future.
You touched on a lot of things. And I think the one thing that I want to mention is how you sound like you're leaving from a good place. It's not I never believe in leaving jobs or leaving phases and spaces in your life from a place of so much pain and being sad. Even if the place was toxic, I feel like you need to get to a point where you are up again and then leave. But that's just personal philosophy. One thing I want to expand upon is your excitement for unemployment, where a lot of people, for them, it's very daunting and whatnot. When and what have you done to prepare for that? Like, did you start planning already an internship? Listen, I know after ComServe I'm out. I need to have a financial plan. When did the planning begin for the exit?
Great question. So firstly, I am excited for unemployment because like then I have time to build what I care about. Okay. And I think when you aren't doing stuff or when you aren't, we don't trust what you're doing outside of medicine, outside of your career, outside of your job, that fear is real. And I think that's valid because you need money to eat. You need money to live. You need money for everything. And so that is a real fear. I had it, but like you said, what did I do to prepare? So from fourth year, I was like, okay, we have 3 years of guaranteed work. They told us, hey, there's 3 years internship, 1 year ComServe, that's 3 years. I didn't know how much we earned back in fourth year, but I knew, okay, 3 years. I will be 27 when I decide to, skedaddle. This is me in my fourth year, and I think I was about 21 years old. So I've had significant time to think and plan. And initially, what I did was inform myself on finances because I'm like, okay, I want to think long term. I want to think when I'm like 40, when I'm 50, when I'm 60. And so I read up on a lot of financial, investment vehicles. So like tax prepayment accounts and retirement annuities and mutual funds and unit trust funds and stocks and property and just read up here and there about just to like inform myself. None of this actually moved me forward, but it kind of just created like an internal curiosity for it, an internal, okay, this is kind of the path. The real thing started when I got to internship, when I actually had money being paid into my account. First thing I did was open up the tax prepayment account, which allows you to pay 36K across the entire year. So 3K a month, every single year for a total of 14 years. You can only put about 500K, so half a mil into it. They've now actually changed it where you can put in 46K across the entire year. So it moves it from 14 years to 11 years to max out your FP savings account. But I'm like, okay, if I'm going to have a risky life, my TSP savings account could be like my safety net. And I did the math on, okay, cool. If I put this much money in, I have about 30 something million at the end of my life. But let's say Sam a complete failure that messes everything up. If he spends the first 14 years of his life investing 3K into his TSP savings account, he can be 60 years old, 70 years old, and he can be fine and comfortable. That was just like a thought. Then you add your retirement annuity, you add other stuff, you realize, okay, you know what? Future son will be fine. Like old me will be fine. He's got this, okay? Now I can use all my excess funds into first and foremost education, investing in courses, sort of like brilliant experiences, workshops. All of that stuff is really just going to make you see the world differently. Then you have having a financial advisor, whether you want to pay for one or whether, with us we have people who come to us for free, basically, and they just take a bit of your profits from your investment stuff, but they can educate you on that. And so those were the first steps was just getting awareness and starting at the basic stuff. Now, it was only around July of internship where I was like, okay, have this money I've saved up. So I also kept my expenses really low. So now I had capital. And so I had to then think about, okay, so you have the long-term stuff sorted out. Now about the medium term and short term, how are you going to make money in that short and medium term? And so, as we spoke about earlier in our earlier combo, you need to research an investment vehicle that you like and that you are okay diving extremely deep into. And so for me, that was stocks. And so I spent so much time learning about price evaluations of companies. And you watch YouTube videos, people say, hey, buy the stock, buy the stock, buy the stock, buy the stock. And then you do research, okay, on the company fundamentals, on the company, like where they're going, how they're moving, the market they're in, how much market share they have, are they a monopoly and whatnot? What are the threats with AI and everything changing? Like what are, so yeah, if you're going to property, you need to research property prices, how certain things affects, property prices and whatnot. I'm not into property, so I actually don't even know the factors that align with that though. But then you start thinking about that. And I put money into stocks over and over and over and over. And basically my portfolio right now is doing pretty well. And that's not going to be for the next like year. That's going to be fucking time in the next 10 years. And so like 10 years time is now taken care of. Okay. If I keep dollar cost averaging across that entire time. So now it's about the immediate now. So I'm working backwards from the long term, really, really long term to like 10 years to now 5 years and then now to 3 years. And so now I want to branch out into like more entrepreneurial stuff. And so I want to share the business ideas here, but have a set of skills and everyone has a set of skills. And money basically is made by providing value to other people. Okay. You have bought stuff in the past because they were valuable to you. Nobody stole money from you. You are like, hey, this is valuable. I'm going to give them. And so the aim of entrepreneurship, from my opinion, is you want to create a product or a service that is so good, people will happily give you money for it. Okay. That's the thing. And so you see, what skills do I have? What interests do I have? Okay. And how can I put all of this together to create that thing? And then you have an ideal avatar, an ideal customer, and then you just market, 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 market. All of this hasn't been done for me yet, okay? I just have this thinking. And I just have like the foundation yet. I haven't yet, made a product or made a service and yet, want to people because farm service is like super stressful though. But this is all in the works. And this will all happen in my unemployment phase. And so I've just done a lot of like research and done like the foundational stuff. And so this is why I feel very secure in this. I hope I answered your question. I went like this, but I hope I did.
You gave us a whole tutorial.
Yeah.
No, I think finances is very important, but you also inspired a chat in my brain where I feel like we should be having more discussions on planning our 3 years of guaranteed employment for the break that comes afterwards.
Mhm.
Because I don't know how it was like with you when financial advisor spoke to you, but for me, I don't even remember what year it was, 4 years ago, when this whole unemployment thing wasn't as loud as it is. The way that, portfolios and life was set up in your and thinking about money also was that it will always be there.
Mhm.
Like we were secure once upon a time as doctors. The money will always be there, the job will always be there. Now it's not the case. Like there are
Yeah.
doctors who have been unemployed for 2 years. And I think it's a discussion that we should have, and it's also inspiring me. Maybe I need to invite like a financial person or something where we actually talk about setting up portfolios, and everyone actually, not just people who are thinking about leaving, but even people who are secured in medicine. How can we set up our structure so that, for a year or a year and a half or even 2 years, we are okay with no income coming? I think that's an important chat that we should be having.
Definitely. Yeah. Nobody tells you. So once again, I had a friend who was in final year tell me, hey, so you have 3 years of guaranteed income. Like nobody else told me. And I think even now, it wasn't told to me. Okay, no, my financial advisor told me like in first year that, hey, first year internship, that, hey, you have internship and ComServe. But like you said, it isn't common knowledge. And that intensity with which I understand it isn't also common. Like people can know I have 3 years though, but what it means is, hey, I have 3 years and then I have no job. And then I'm going to be competing against those who have no job for the past, 6 months to 2 years, who have been doing locums, who have more experience than me, who've done more courses than me. Like you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. And that's okay. An uphill battle doesn't mean you're going to lose. It just means it's uphill. You need to put a lot of effort in. That's all it means. It doesn't mean it's impossible. But that reality needs to be made known. And I do believe you should get a financial. I do believe you should get a financial advisor onto the podcast to speak about that. Because yeah, when you set up your medical aid and you set up your income protection, like everything's thought about like, hey, yeah, this is going to be forever. And that's how it was maybe 5, 10 years ago. But that's not how it is right now. People are researched up, have done articles, have done so much stuff, who've done primaries, and are still looking for, posts. And that's the reality. What I would advise as well is Dave Ramsey. This is not a shout out or whatever. Actually, this is a shout out to Dave Ramsey. Thank you for inspiring a younger me, okay? But he has a podcast, Dave Ramsey podcast, and he has this something called the baby steps. It's 10 steps to like basically financial freedom. And it's for America, but there is a South African version that you can apply, and it really helps. And then he has these short clips, YouTube shorts, where people caught in it with their financial mistakes, and you just listen to this, and it really just helps you to realize that life is life, and life is real. We all assume that nobody in family will get sick, and there'll be no expensive hospital bills. That your car will never be in an accident, that there'll be no need for you to buy a new car or whatever. But when you hear about people's real life, experiences, um, people who are moving states, and now have to pay all of this money to move their stuff from one place to another, or people who are immigrating or whatever, or migrating, like you hear about, okay, life is expensive. It's not just gonna be, hey, I work, I live, and I eat, like like there's a lot of stuff. People who get married were black, lobola is a real thing. Weddings are a real thing. These things need to be factored in. And so, like, if you tally all the money you earn across the 3 years, how much money you spend, and how much money you have saved, and you have to spread it across all of these things, you realize, firstly, I don't make enough money. Then, secondly, it's, hey, like, I need to have a longer time horizon. And yeah, unfortunately, only 3 years are guaranteed. So that longer time horizon, you can either spend those 3 years making yourself like super qualified. I have a friend who did courses all the time. Internship was hard, but that man somehow found time, to sort out all his courses, to do all the stuff which, like is extra stuff, which is like years ahead of us. Like he was like, I'm not going to be unemployed. And he made a decision and he worked towards it. I'm like, hey, I unfortunately don't have that same love, for this degree and this career. And so I'm going to then hedge my bets and then save, 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 save. He spent money, but like he spent money because he knew he is working towards being unemployed for a max of 2 months and then working immediately. And so those are the parts you have. And there's probably more parts around. You can go to non-clinical medicine, you can work for corporate like you are doing, you can do research, there's so many things you can do to make cash in that time period though. But you need to understand that, hey, there is a time period that is fast approaching. Hey, you've passed it. For me, I have 10 more months. Yeah, not even 10 more months. I have 9 more months until that period is here. And so
There's a there's a level of honoring your feelings that we need to do in this life and trusting yourself when decisions need to be made. How has your family supported you, or even your close ones? Like, you're African. You Our parents come from a different time, like where kids didn't just drop really secure
Yeah,
careers in their minds. So how have they taken this actually?
I know. I'm incredibly blessed. Incredibly blessed. To the parents I had. My dad's like, I trust you. I know you. He's seen me grow up. He saw me in first year. He's seen me now. He's seen me um at the end of sixth year and how I've changed and grown. He sees how I speak. Like you're having this for 1 hour. My dad shares this for like, months of me talking and planning. He sees me come home, he sees me work. Like I come home, I gym. I mean, I leave work, I gym. I come home, I eat, study, go to bed. Same thing over and over and over and over. And so like the sense of, okay, you'll be fine. Like I will be fine. My mom, I think she's a lot more cautious. She wants me not to leave medicine, wants me to, look for a job and, whatnot. And I tell her, hey, I will if this doesn't work out. Okay. And she's made peace with that. My brother's probably the one who's like, hey, bro, like, wow, you're a doctor. That's an amazing thing. Like, why do you want to just be like, you know, um, but he also understands to a degree that, hey, I am an obsessive person, when it comes to like entrepreneurship in life. Like, I will not allow myself to fail. Like, there's a quote that I love that says, until death, all defeat is psychological. I just love it because it's just like, yeah, I can like fail over and over and over and over and run out of money. And if I need to work at Spur, I need to work at Checkers to make more money because I didn't save enough, so be it. I'm going to do what needs to be done. And so they're okay. Like they know I'll be fine. And then my best friend as well knows I'll be fine. I don't tell people who don't believe in my dreams or who will discourage me. And so the people who I can tell, hey, this is how I feel, and they will immediately keep me with their own, limiting beliefs, from their own reality, from their own perspective. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that's how they see the world. But I don't need more doubt in my mind. So I just don't tell people like that. But my family who I'm, providing for the family. My brother and I are taking care of the family. They need to know that, hey, so by the way, like I'm going to do all of this. They need to know so they can plan and be aware. Um, and they're okay. They know who they raised. They know their son. They know their brother. They know their child.
You have your people, and your people trust and they're backing you.
Yeah,
I think that's even a nice feeling to go into this phase with.
definitely.
Hmm. So now they are students, they are doctors who who are feeling the way that you feel or that you have felt. Like, just that, this is not all that I can do. How would you advise the medical students and the doctor, two different people in different stages of their lives, to honor this feeling? Like, what would you tell them?
There was a time in fourth year I was thinking about not even finishing my degree and just leaving. Okay. And I was advised to stay. And thank God, you know, thank God for wise counsel. And they're like,
Amen.
Sam, you know, don't leave. Please finish this. You're good at this. It's difficult. It's hard. I know you want to do other stuff as well, but like, stay. I had to see a therapist. We had like a number of people die like back to back to back to back to back to back at work, and I had my own family members as well. I go through sickness and whatnot, and but I had a breakup as well. My life was just like crumbling down, and I'm like, I don't need to do this. Like when you when you're on call, and you're like, there is no reason. This is all self-imposed. And so I spoke to her and I said, look, these are my plans, okay? I will be fine. I promise you, if I leave right now, if I get fired right now, I will be fine. And, you know, we just spoke and spoke and spoke. It took 3 weeks for me to be like, okay, Sam, have you calmed down? I was like so intense. I was like so angry. I'm like, I want to leave. um, and like we spoke, calmed me down, and then kind of put this in perspective that, hey, like you have been given this opportunity, this blessing. Your life will be better if you continue this. That yes, it will delay your future goals by like a year and a half. This was like mid concept. I mean mid internship. A year and a half. But you would have had more money saved. And you would have had, the more networks you were talking about, you would have had more, security. So she was just like speaking to me from a place of wisdom. And really important. So with all this said, what I would say first and foremost is understand everything in life is going to be hard. Whether it's medicine, whether it's being a mom or being a dad, whether it's being a chef, whether it's being an entrepreneur, whether it's being someone who invests in stock or invest in crypto or invest in, everything's going to be difficult, okay? Whether you do social media or whatnot, what you're doing right now is difficult. People might say, hey, this is easier than being a doctor, but I've tried this before. I know how hard it is to get people to like, you know, comply with their own promises towards you, how it is to edit, how it is for you to post, how it is for you to learn how YouTube works and everything. Like this requires effort, and you're constantly walking into the unknown with every single step. Okay, so firstly, just realize that the grass isn't green on the other side. Okay, but it's green where you water it. Okay, and so if you're someone who will water the grass you want to go to in the same way I'm going to water the grass I'm walking into, then contemplate this, okay? Then I would say, based on where you are, if you're in first and second year and you feel this strongly about it, I can't say leave, but you haven't put that much skin into the game yet, okay? But if you're in fourth year, fifth year, and sixth year, I would say tough it out, tough it out, and you know, work and grow from your experiences, Like I would say as well is in 3 years' time, you will be 3 years older. Whether you do nothing or whether you do everything, okay? If you do nothing, you will be exactly who you are, same. If you do everything or do something more, you will change and grow. And so you also need to understand that life is really long, and you need to understand that the seasons in front of you are there for you, you know, and like just embrace them and know that after this year, I'll be a year older, I'd have learned these skills. Um, and so yeah. And then from the more practical side, I know I was kind of more like a mental mindset and stuff, but like from a more practical side, let's say you are in internship thinking of leaving, finances are the biggest part because it's very hard for you to be very motivated and ambitious when like you are struggling to pay the bills, eh? Like it's pretty hard. And if you have dependents, if you have a child, if you have, a wife or a girlfriend or whatever, or what's the opposite? Husband, thank you. Then, like, these things need to be, thought about. Okay. So budgeting would then become your best friend. You then need to say, hey, the life I want requires this sacrifice from me, whether it's a financial sacrifice or whether it's like a time sacrifice to invest into learning. That needs to be at the forefront of your mind. Okay. Then there's your whole plan to pivot is you don't want to leave without a solid plan. You know, like leaving to be unemployed doesn't make sense. When people quit jobs, they quit jobs to go to other jobs, unless the job is like so bad, that they're like, I'd rather be unemployed than work here, but you should have like your foundation set in another thing before you leave. So yeah, that would kind of be my advice to them is just think about it, realize everything will be hard, realize you will be 3 years older in 3 years' time. Whether you go this way or go this way, have a plan sorted out, and then make the sacrifices needed in order to get there, whether it's financial sacrifice or time sacrifice. But you can't be la di da di da, and still expect to, be fine if you leave. You have to be intentional about life. Intentionality is it. Yeah.
No. That's very good. You mentioned some very good points. Intentionality, number one, but also everything in life requires effort. I think sometimes we think that just because this is where our passion is, or this is where what we wanted, like this is what we thought we had wanted, just because it's hard, it doesn't mean that it's going to be something that you're going to flop in. And I think I wish more people understood that that effort is required for everything. Even a loving relationship has effort.
Everything. Yeah.
So you just need to pick where do you want your effort to go? Like when you are 90, what do you want to say you put your effort into?
That's literally it. That's the whole, I'm 40 years old. What ideal Sam at 40 years old, what is he doing with his time, That's how you want to see things. 90 for me is a bit too far away. Like it's so hard I can't even conceptualize it, But I can conceptualize me at 40 with kids and a wife, and a house, and like I can think about those things. But yeah, that's
So now, last but not least, what would you say is the quiet thing that you feel needs to be said out loud about medicine from your experience?
there's a lot. And what I said earlier is that hey, patients are people and that they need to be treated like people. But I think people understand that. I think doctors understand that to a degree. It's just time is just the biggest constraint. And so my advice now won't be for doctors in terms of how they can help patients, but more how they can help themselves. And that you need to understand why you're in medicine, okay? Or why you're doing anything in life. So I think there is this natural push to go from high school, no gap year, do med school, no gap year, do internship, no gap year, do ComServe, no gap year, start working, no gap year, be a registrar, no gap year, to become a specialist, no gap year, working private. Like you understand, like there's just like this whole, and there are people where that life is like 100% suited towards them. Like it's what they need, okay? But for some people, they need to understand that, hey, this path may not be, the path I want, okay? I still want to be a specialist, but let's say I want to have kids, okay? And so you think about, okay, after comes up, I might be an MO here and then have a child, whatever, before him to be specialized. Or you might have friends who have had kids doing internship. I had a friend who had a child while in med school. And so the different paths that they've all taken because of what they want and where they currently are. And so first and foremost, your entire career path must be something that you want. Okay. There's nothing worse than being somewhere that is on paper good, but internally it feels horrible. Okay. That's me in psych. I hate psych. Like I absolutely hate psych. People like psych is so easy, it's so nice. So on paper, I'm going to work at 8 o'clock. I'm leaving work at like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I'm being paid the same as the internal doctors who are there from 7 till 5. Like on paper, this is beautiful. Hey, you have ward rounds which take so long, but y'all are chilling and walking and talking, and all you do is just talk all day to patients. There are no drips. Like it's just on paper, it is easy. But I was dying inside. I hated calls. I hated seeing human neglect. I hated seeing substance abuse. I hated seeing schizophrenia. And so my point is, on paper, you can have a good life. But what do you want? Like, what does medicine mean to you? Okay. The people who are in medicine for money, who are okay with that, who are like, I am here to rack up, these bags and spend my time traveling, going to Australia, going to America. Like they use medicine to finance the life they want to live outside of medicine. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, we judge people so harshly, we judge ourselves so harshly, like, hey, I must be here for to help patients, and just like you're allowed to be here for whatever reason you want to be here for, okay? You're allowed to be here in medicine because you look up to doctors. I am here because I'm like, you guys are the coolest people on the planet. Doctors are cool. Doctors are really, really cool people. So you can have multiple reasons, but you must know your reason because your reason gives you staying power. It allows you to go through the difficult days with a smile on your face. It allows you not to point a finger at someone else and be like, hey, you forced me to be here, or hey, I'm suffering because of you. You know that you chose it. So that's the first thing. Then, yeah, like I said earlier, your life outside of medicine, you need to think about, okay, my life at home affects my life at work. My life at work affects my life at home. You're a human being, you aren't a robot. There are times where I have a difficult day where I know I can't come home to my family the way I am. I'm too emotionally labile. I need to sit down and journal and sit down and pray and sit down and gym because I have too much stress. There are times where I'm on call and post call, I'm in a bad mood. Go shower. I say hi, guys. I shower and I sleep. I don't, pretend like those 24 hours didn't just happen, Like you need to factor that in. The inverse is true. If you and your partner have a fight before work, you need to understand that, hey, that fight will be on your mind. And so you need to process that as much as you can before you get to work so it doesn't impair your delivery of service to patients. You know, if you're having financial struggles, you need to understand that, hey, that will impact you at work. You're a human being, you understand. If you don't eat, there was a time where I was sleeping late, waking up early, and going to work without breakfast. And I was sad. And I'm like, obviously, you're going to be sad with the way you're living your life. And so understanding that you need to be taken care of, you need to take care of yourself as well. Like you need to make sure that you are fine at home and at work, and that those things are interwoven, and that they must both be treated and respected and taken care of the way they should is important. I think a lot of people bring their personal issues. Not a lot of people, actually. Not a lot of people. Some people, and we know when someone brings their personal issues to work because like they're just mean for no reason. They're just very cold and very harsh. Not everyone's like that actually. It's just a few people, but like yeah, then you can tell something's wrong, and you're allowed to be upset though, but at the same time, this is a professional environment. You don't want to be shouting at people unnecessarily. You don't want to be swearing at patients. You don't want to, pop in fist with people because you're having stuff at home. Inverse as well. You don't want to come home and start, neglecting your children, or ignoring your wife or ignoring your husband because like work was hard, eh? So that's my quiet thing that should be said loud is that hey, you're a human being and work affects home, home affects work. Take care of yourself. Make sure that you don't overextend yourself at home or overextend yourself at work, and just make sure you're doing this for you, and that you know your reason.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your nuggets of wisdom. This has been an amazing conversation. I think the one thing that I definitely take from here is the importance to honor your feelings, Like you had the foresight in fourth year to already start thinking about, listen, if I continue with this feeling that I'm having, how do I honor it and secure it in the future? And I definitely think if a lot more people trusted themselves and just back themselves more, and not in the sense of like being reckless and whatnot, but just took some ample risk, I think a lot more people would find happiness and fulfillment in whatever line that they're doing. So thank you so much for this. So where can the people find you on social media if they want to hear some more gems of wisdom from you?
I will send you the names on WhatsApp so you can add them here. But it's going to be Cardinal Media. So Cardinal is CRDNL. The media is MEDIA. So that could be on TikTok and on Instagram. And then my own personal what do you call it? Personal Instagram page is King and then my surname, which is pretty long. So I'll put that up.
Definitely, definitely. So, my dear listener, if this episode touched something in your heart, please do reach out to Sam and like, comment, and subscribe to all the nice things that you need to do on this episode. Remember, you're allowed to honor your feelings, do it within a reasonable risk, but also change the way that you practice medicine, whether you're staying in or you're pivoting or you are, whatever it is that you're doing. Think of how to not carry on with the toxicity that you've experienced before, but do something different for the next person that comes. My name is Dr. Diane, and this is your permission to be a different kind of doctor. Bye!